welcome to another edition of Focus. I'm your host, Vernon L. Bolling. Let me ask a question. Are you familiar with HBSB1070? It's a Senate bill. It was signed by Jan Brewer, Governor Jan Brewer, not long ago. If you're not, you need to be, because it's your right, and it's a right that you need to know a little bit about. Today, my guest is Reverend Oscar Tillman, who's with the NAACP. And we're going to talk about this 1070 because it's very important. Everybody, you should know it, your children should know it, people in your house should know it. It's a very important bill. It gives you your rights. So don't touch that remote. We're going to be right back with more when Focus continues.
My husband was deployed in October of 2009.
After he left, everything just felt like it sank.
Just didn't really like life at the time.
The hardest thing was just trying to figure out a new routine.
When you're a military family, things like the arts really are extra here at ASU Gamage. The Arizona Lottery enables 200 military dependents to come to the theater 3 times a year. This is our way of saying thank you, and we can never say thank you enough.
As the American military gets smaller, who will be there to answer the call? They will. They're the National Guard and Reserve, and they make up half of today's military forces. As an employer, you may be asked to support their mission. Remember, their response depends on yours.
Hello, and welcome back to Focus. You know, recently a bill was passed, Senate Bill number 1070. If you don't know what it's about, you should. Let me introduce my guest, the Reverend Oscar Tillman. He's a friend of ours. He's been to Focus House many times and talking about various issues that are going on in Arizona. Today we're going to talk about this Bill 1070 and find out how much you know about it and how much we can share with you about it. Reverend Tillman is the president of the Maricopa County branch of the NAACP, as well as a board member of the national NAACP. Reverend Tillman, as always, thank you for coming down and sharing this important information with us. Proposition, Senate Bill 1070, surprised it passed?
No, because at that time, the caliber of people that were in the Senate and headed up at that time by former state Senate President Russell Pierce had a lot of power, and they had a lot of people supporting them. It was a total negative bill. People all across the state and across the country fought and tried to get them to stop that bill, because it was basically going after one race of people, one group of people, and they felt that that was detrimental. Just last week in the newspaper, that was an article where the mayor had gone back to Washington and tried to talk to major groups in regards to that Arizona is not, especially Phoenix, is not as divisive as 1070 had made it appear across this country. So whenever you get a brand new mayor that's have to go back and practically beg people to take another look at his city, something is very wrong. But most important is that the Supreme Court upheld majority of that bill, the U.S. Supreme Court. And by doing so, it kind of lets the police do things that people have questioned whether or not the police would do the right thing. And this is across the United States. It's just not, across Arizona. If we were dealing with just a bill here in Phoenix, then we know the caliber leadership of Phoenix, Chief Garcia and those, is we could, go and deal with them. But when you got officers all across this state of Arizona, and you and I have spoken off camera in regards to the fact that we are now appealing to the U.S. Department of Justice in Pinell County, where the police or the sheriff, Sheriff Balboa's people are stopping people for dirty license plates. And one person was snatched out of the vehicle and injured because his seatbelt held him. So this is the type of things that, but it's even, I've talked to police officers and they're very concerned because there is kind of a look-see. If Officer Vernon Bolling stops someone and let the person go, and then later it's found out through a ticket or some other deal, or someone just say, oh yes, we were on our way home the other night and the police stopped us, and yes, Hernandez was driving and they let us go. And then later they said, well, he ended up in a felony case or whatever. Then where have you put that police officer? The police officer did. I was a police officer 23 years. He made a decision on the spot, and if he had called in to ask them to come pick up this person that he suspected him not to be in, and they said we're unable to come right now, whatever, then what? Officer can't sit there and hold him? So these are type of things that 1070 has done, not to even look at the devastation it caused on the hotel industry.
You said it was really geared towards a particular group of people.
Right.
Let's get that out the way. What group of people?
The Hispanics.
Latinos.
Latinos,
okay.
Yes. It
okay.
was geared towards
so it was geared towards
yes.
Latino. And it's been signed.
The governor signed it into law. As a matter of fact, the governor was very, quote, losing her race until she signed it. When she signed it into law, it, boom.
Okay. One of the things, and I'll bring it up now. When I was raising our son, when we were raising our son, and I would always tell him, if you're ever in the car and the police officer stops you, you make sure you put your hands on top of the wheel. Always let them see where your hands are. One of the things I think we have to do as parents, it may sound silly, we must tell our children, even though they may not want to hear it, because they're grown. I know how we were. I mean, I know how I was. I know, Ma, I know. But anyway, if you don't tell them, you feel bad at the end. So tell them what they should do, because racism is there.
Yes.
It may be underlined, it may have a different name, it may have a different approach, but it's there. And I think that that's one of the things that we really need to do. We need to pass along our knowledge to our children. And I think that's one of the things we need to do. And I bring that point up because I want to talk to you about a few little items within this bill. A passenger in a vehicle. If I'm a passenger within a vehicle, sitting in the back seat, let's just say, let's get it out, I'm not driving, and a police officer stops me, what are my rights?
Your rights as a passenger is, unless there is some specific reason that the police officer has believed that you're involved in something, you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
He stopped the driver of that car. You're just a passenger. Now, if you didn't, throw something out the window or something, out of the ordinary, or they have said that a car that we're looking for have 3 males in it and this type of car, then that's different. But if you're just sitting there and they stopped that driver and told him that you were speeding or whatever, as a passenger, you don't have to do anything.
Well, let me ask. Do I have to give him my name?
Your name is the only thing you have to. Your honest, true name.
I don't have to give him a birth date.
You have to
I don't have to give him an address.
And you don't have to give him no social security number.
Okay. Do I have to show him an ID?
You don't have to do anything. You're a passenger.
So what you're saying is he stops the driver of the vehicle.
For some cause. The passenger, you don't have any reason to mess with that passenger.
Okay. I hear you. I understand. And I can hear the audience out there saying, okay, yeah, right, we've heard this one before. But he smells something. I think I smell drugs.
then there's a cause there.
Even if you know there was no drugs that he smelled?
Well, that's the part.
That's
of
his right.
when we teach our kids. You let him walk down that path. If he's wrong, then the adults take over.
Okay.
That's what I teach. I taught my kids.
Okay.
I said, if he's wrong, and sure, we have had them to stop. We have, and then
And you know they always will. That's the first thing.
where we have driven that car to another precinct and asked them, would you just have to look at this car and see? We have done that. But the point is, though, is to let our kids know, and you said it earlier, we've got to teach them. Don't get caught up in, he dissed me, I had my girlfriend in the car.
Yeah, right.
You deal with the issue right then and there. Let the adults, and I'm part of that adult. The NAACP
Right,
is part of that
absolutely,
adult.
absolutely.
Let us help you how to get that to the police chief or the sheriff in the proper way to deal with it. That's the way we deal with it.
And the hardest thing as a young child, a young adult, the hardest thing to do is to say no. If my friends are drinking, if my friends have something illegal that they're getting ready to do, don't get in the car. Please. I mean, I can't take that home enough. I tell my son that. I tell any young kid, don't get in the car. You can always call me up. I will come and get you. I will not be mad. I will come and get you wherever you're at. I feel better to know you call me, hey, my friends were drinking. I didn't want to get in the car.
I hate to give out a little secret that's known by many very good students, and that is when you see things going downhill, you're at a party or any event, sports event or whatever, and you see the person you're riding with or whatever is doing a little bit more drinking or whatever, and the issue of young females getting caught up in situations sometime, they have known that call, let the person know I'm feeling bad, call mom or dad, step outside, wait,
Absolutely.
meet them. No one ever suspects anything different, but they have saved themselves from getting involved in possible an accident or
Yes.
something.
Let me take that another step. The driver of the car had too much to drink. He's in the back now. We put him, no, you can't drive. I'm the designated driver. I'm driving home. Cop stops me. He looks and flash in the back. Joe's in the back. He's drunk. Can that cop take him out?
No.
So he still falls under that. He's not doing anything. He's in the back, he's keeping his mouth shut. That's why I'm driving.
And 99% of the time, and I've talked to officers after officers, and having been one, they usually pat the person on the back. I have seen them tell, okay, now, can you show me you're okay to drive? Oh, yes. And you want me to get out, want me to walk, do whatever. But in talking back to them, they see that person's
Yeah.
okay to drive.
Yeah.
And they usually say, okay,
Okay.
okay. I can't even think of a time that they said, no, put him out. I want to see why he's so drunk or where he got drunk at or something else. That's a total different issue. But the point is that I think that we need to teach our young people that don't get caught up in, it's the same thing. Don't do battle with your teacher.
Right.
That's something for adults to get
Right.
involved, mom and dad and those to do. The same thing with the police officer. And please, I would love to see the day that we wipe this word diss me out.
Yeah.
Because many of our people are in prison today because of standing up for being dissed. So we got to get away from that.
We're going to take a quick break, pause for the cause. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about if I'm on the street, what rights do I have? If I'm walking down the street, what rights do I have? Also in jail or in my home? Because there is so many, police come to your house, knock on the door, they want to come in. Do I have to let them in? If I'm walking down the street and I'm not doing anything and he just wants to stop me, does he Do I have to show him ID? Can I just go home? What? And you've got those answers. We're talking about the Senate Bill 1070, which are kind of talking about your rights, which is something that, and I'm learning too. So don't touch that remote. We'll be right back with the Reverend Oscar Tillman from the NAACP and Focus after these messages.
One thing you got to learn when you're a rancher, leave it better for the next generation. I'm Jim Ohako. I'm a rancher at a place called Shovelin Butte.
Arizona Game and Fish has been working with Jim Ohako to maintain and enhance wildlife habitat. Without the lottery, we couldn't do the work we're doing and we couldn't make the efforts that we are right now.
This ranch, it's like a family member. It's just part of us. And I think through these projects that we've done, it is better. It's a win-win situation. We're improving the habitat for everything for future generations.
As the American military gets smaller, who will be there to answer the call? They will. They're the National Guard and Reserve, and they make up half of today's military forces. As an employer, you may be asked to support their mission. Remember, their response depends on yours.
Welcome back to Focus. My guest today is the Reverend Oscar Tillman from the NAACP. He is the president of the Maricopa County branch, as well as a board member for the national NAACP. We're kind of talking a little bit about the Senate Bill 1070 that was put into law. If you don't know about it, you should learn about it. But in the meantime, you can listen to us and learn a little bit about it. We talked about passengers in the cars. Now I want to talk about on the street. A child, a kid, myself, walking down the street, for whatever reason, police officer stops me. Do I have to show him ID?
It's according to the circumstance you're stopped by. If there was an issue that there was maybe a commotion or a little fight or something went on, and then they are identified. But you just walking on minding, all you got to do is get an officer your name, true name.
True name.
True name. You can't give him. Everybody in this neighborhood know me as CeeLo. You can't do that. Everybody even that officer may know you as CeeLo.
But you better give him your real name.
Your real name is all that you
what do they say? Your birth name? What is your God-given name? Whatever, however it goes.
Your true
name.
I think the official title is your true name.
Your true name.
Right.
Okay. An officer comes to your house for a reason of, I heard, a neighbor call about a disturbance or whatever like that. What rights do I have? Do I have to let that officer in my house?
You have no right. I mean, you have a right. The officer have no right to come in your house.
So he has no, he can't.
Unless he has a search warrant.
Okay, so the neighbor called, the person walking down the street called or something and said, I heard noise over there, or I think something's going on over there. Officer comes to the door. Have your name, Mr. Oscar Tillman. Can I come in? You don't have to let him in.
You don't even have to answer that door.
You don't.
And if you do answer the door, you say, do you have a search warrant to come in? If so, slide it under the door.
Okay.
Or slide it through the mailbox on my door.
Okay.
Then you can make a decision from there. But the point is, you don't have, just because the police knocks on your door, you don't have to answer. Now, if the police have reason to come in, a search warrant, there's a no-knock search warrant. That all will be dealt with. But the point is, if you hadn't done anything, you're just sitting there minding your own business, you don't have to answer that door.
Okay.
Now, if the police really want to come in or they feel there's something going on, they know how to get a warrant.
And there's such a thing as a no-knock search warrant.
That is, but they have to have, they've got to go and really convince a judge to give that kind of a search warrant. No-knock search warrants is not something given out like on TV. They're very serious issues.
Like on TV, you mean that's not real? Okay, that's important.
Yes.
That's good to know.
And I know many times people get upset. They call me, well, the police came, and you don't have to answer that door. If there is a critical situation going on and they believe it's going on, the police know how to do to get there.
Let me just share with the audience. We're talking about the Senate bill. This is a spinoff from the Senate bill number 1070. It was passed by our governor, and it was passed because of the Latino community. So that's why we're talking about this, and it's important because it not only talks about it to them, it bends over to everybody. I mean, basically, the things we're talking about applies to any and everybody, particularly when it comes to law enforcement and people and things along those lines. The last point I want to bring out is in jail. If for some reason I'm taken to jail, what rights do I have? You always see on TV, you have the right, and I will tell you, my lawyer has always told me the only thing you need to tell them is your name, and I want to call my lawyer.
That's right.
That is it, Vernon. And if you say any more, I'm going to smack you.
Repeat that over and over again. I taught my 3 kids. They're grown and even got grandchildren, but I taught them your name, and I want to talk to a lawyer.
So you don't have to show them any ID. You don't have to. I don't know if you're in jail already.
Well,
I could
in jail,
imagine.
they've already
you
probably,
already searched you
yeah.
and stuff like that. But I don't have to give up any social security numbers. I don't have to give up any private information.
My name is Oscar Tillman. I want to talk to my attorney.
Because normally, even on TV, you get yourself in more trouble by just saying something.
Yeah, because that's
what they're, and please don't trust them if they say I'm your friend. I'm here to help you.
And the
I
Supreme
always laugh
Court-
at that one.
The Supreme Court has given the police okay online doing an investigation.
That's right. They will lie to you.
They can tell you that, oh, well, you may well talk to me because I just spoke to you, of all people. Your cousin right down the street said that you, excuse me.
Yeah, right.
I want to talk to an attorney.
Right.
And I tell everybody to have, if nothing else, get your family in touch with at least one attorney. And tell that attorney that if my son or my daughter call you,
Right.
respond to them and notify me.
Yeah.
Notify me, because I will deal with the rest of it, because I know that they may not have the money to pay you. So
Right.
tell me.
Absolutely.
But please, if my son or daughter call you, then you call me. But please take that call, because I know any lawyer is going to do the right thing whenever that child tell them the police has arrested me.
I think the most important thing you said, it's a little humorous, but it goes on all the time. And I think the most important thing you said to me, and I hope the people will take it to heart, is police officers will lie. And that's okay, that's fine. They'll lie. But I mean, as long as you're not lying, then that's fine. I mean, if they're lying, it's fine. That's their job. I spoke to your cousin down the street. That is you see on TV, they put you in one room and they put me in another room. Okay, well that's obviously, that's gonna happen if 2 people, and then they try to turn you against one another. I mean, that's the other little trick that's always used.
And it works. And
it works, right.
Yes.
I don't think we're telling tales out of class. I mean, it works because they want you to turn on me and they want me to turn on you. But and if you have, one of the things about telling the truth is it stays the same. Yes. So if you tell the truth, it stays the same. It can't be bent. It can't be forgotten. You will always normally remember the truth.
And
So
that's the
best
reason
thing
that
to do.
even when we was talking about TV, even sitting on a witness stand or sitting on the stand in a courtroom, they'll give you your statement. In essence, letting you know Stick to what you've already put down.
Exactly right. And if it's the truth, you remember the same thing.
Yeah,
You may not have the same word, but it'll be the same thing. And so that's why you have to do that.
That is why it is so important that we teach our children, don't argue with the police officer.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Tell them you want to talk to a lawyer. Say it over and over again, because just about every arrest made I've ever known is being recorded. So if later it comes back that you said something or they kept talking to you after you said over and over again, I want a lawyer, it's in your favor. Keep saying it. You want a lawyer.
That's right.
So that is, how important it is. And the other part about it is, please let the adult assist you.
Absolutely.
Don't go calling up a bunch of police precincts.
Absolutely.
Tell them to give me a report. You don't get the reports. You get the reports from wherever they have their record section. And to get into an argument with the police department at some precinct don't help you at all. Get to know. The oldest thing in the book, we do it 1,000 times over. We run into a problem in Safeway or any Fry's, any store, or any JCPenney's, and we don't like what's going on, we said, who's the manager? I want to talk to the manager. But when we run into a problem with the police, we do not ask for the manager of police, the police chief. We'll go and deal with everybody along the way, and then we get so frustrated and say things we shouldn't say, whenever we should have either just sat down, sent a certified letter to the police chief or the sheriff. Then we'll have something that we could take to an attorney or a lawyer or take to the NAACP and say, assist me in this.
Speaking of the NAACP, before we say goodbye, telephone number and how people can reach you.
602-252-4064. 602-252-4064. Guaranteed you will get a call back.
And give us your little slogan.
Join us before you need us.
We want to thank the Reverend Oscar Tillman for coming in and spending another day and going through us. Learn these laws. SB1070. It's a very important one. You should stay on top of it. We want to thank you for joining us. Up on the screen is all our information. If you want to get in touch with us, please do. We want to thank you for joining us. Have a good week. Look forward to seeing you the same time, same station next Saturday when Focus continues.